When it comes to unforgettable intimacy, most people make one fatal mistake. They overfocus on the act, on the physical, on positions and duration. But the truth is, what makes a woman remember a man long after he's gone isn't how many times he flipped her over or how long he lasted. It's how he made her feel. And the key to that is emotional presence. Emotional presence is your ability to be completely in the moment with her, not distracted, not trying to perform, not trying to impress, not thinking about what comes next, but fully tuned into her body, her energy, her breath, and your shared connection. This kind of presence is rare. It's magnetic. And it's the #1 reason why some men are unforgettable lovers without necessarily being the most experienced or even technically skilled. Let's break this down. Emotional presence means you're not thinking about how you look, what move to do next, or whether she's going to rate your performance. You're there with her, you're reading her, you're responding, not reacting. When she moans, it's not background noise, it's a language you're listening to. When she breathes faster, you notice. When her body tenses or relaxes, you adjust. This is what women crave, someone who is tuned in, someone who makes them feel like nothing else exists in that moment except the two of you. Women are highly intuitive, especially when it comes to intimacy. She can feel when you're disconnected, she can feel when you're rushing, or when your mind is elsewhere. And guess what? That lack of presence translates into forgettable sex. No matter how hard you go or how long you last, if she feels alone during the experience, she won't remember it fondly, or at all. Being emotionally present also requires emotional intelligence. You need to be aware of her comfort, her responses, and her desires without her needing to spell them out. That means creating a safe space where she can be uninhibited. Most women don't just open up physically, they open up when they feel seen, when they feel desired beyond their body. Your presence is the foundation for that. Now, don't confuse emotional presence with being soft or overly sensitive. This isn't about being passive or coddling. It's about being attentive. A man who is emotionally present can be dominant or gentle, intense or slow. It depends on the energy in the moment. That's the point. You're not relying on a script. You're improvising with precision because you're watching her, feeling her, and adjusting in real time. This is why foreplay doesn't start with touch. It starts with attention. The way you look at her when she's talking, the way you listen without interrupting, the way you hold her before anything physical even happens, all of that is foreplay to a woman who values emotional connection. When she feels emotionally safe and deeply seen, her body responds in ways that no technique can force. Let's talk about silence for a moment. Silence in the bedroom can be powerful when it's intentional. There's a kind of energy in a moment when you pause, look at her, and say nothing. But your eyes say everything. That's presence. And she'll feel it. Women remember moments like that. Long after you've gone, she'll remember the way you looked at her, the way you didn't rush, the way you made her feel like she was the only thing in your world. And here's something else to consider. Presence builds trust. And trust unlocks the deepest parts of a woman's sensuality. Many women have never felt truly safe to let go. If you can give her that, if she feels like she can be completely vulnerable with you without fear of judgment or performance, she'll open herself to you in ways you didn't think possible. That connection, that depth, is what makes the experience unforgettable. You don't need to be perfect. You don't need a list of tricks or a highlight reel of porn-inspired moves. You just need to show up fully. No ego, no rush, no distractions, just you, her, and the energy between you. That's emotional presence. And it's the real reason she'll never forget you. No two women are the same. That's the first lesson every man needs to understand if he ever hopes to be truly unforgettable in her life or in her bed. What turns one woman on can leave another completely untouched. What makes one feel desired might make another feel unseen. This is why the men who stand out, the men women remember long after the moment has passed, are the ones who take the time to understand her unique desires. Understanding her desires isn't about asking a list of mechanical questions like you're filling out a survey. It's about paying close attention to her language, her body, her reactions, the subtle changes in her tone when she talks about what excites her or what she enjoys. It's about becoming a student of her. The same way you might study your craft, your business, or your fitness routine, apply that same attention to understanding her as a woman, not as a stereotype or a checklist. Most women are used to men treating them like they're all the same, running the same playbook, expecting the same responses, assuming that what worked with one woman will work with the next. But when a man slows down and takes the time to actually discover her, she feels it, and that feeling is powerful. Because now you're not just touching her body, you're connecting with her on a level most men never reach. Her unique desires aren't just about what happens between the sheets. It's about how she wants to be approached, how she wants to be looked at, spoken to, and touched. Some women crave intensity and dominance. Others thrive in slowness and emotional depth. Some want to feel like prey. Others want to feel cherished. It's not about right or wrong. It's about her. And the man who can figure that out, not by guessing, but by observing, listening, and asking the right questions at the right time, will always stand out. You start understanding her desires before you ever touch her. Pay attention to what she talks about, what excites her, what irritates her. When she talks about past experiences, what did she appreciate? What did she resent? If you're paying attention, she's always dropping clues. And if you know how to interpret those clues, you'll gain insight into what she truly wants, not just physically, but emotionally, mentally, and spiritually. When you finally get intimate, don't assume, test, explore, respond. If you try something and she melts into you, remember it. If something makes her pull away or tense up, don't ignore it. Adjust. That's how you build a personalized answer that makes her feel like this moment with you is unlike any other. Because it is. You're not giving her generic pleasure. You're giving her pleasure. The truth is, most women don't even get the chance to explore their own full desires. Society, shame, past experiences, they all create blocks. But when you're the man who makes her feel safe enough to go deep, to open up, to want more without fear, you become the man who unlocks a part of her that even she didn't know was there. And that is not something she'll forget. You don't need to be a mind reader, but you do need to be present enough to learn her rhythm. Maybe she likes to be teased before anything even remotely sexual happens. Maybe she wants you to take full control, or maybe she wants to lead sometimes. Maybe she loves to be praised with words, or maybe words make her self-conscious. The answers are there, but they aren't found by looking for shortcuts. They're found by showing real curiosity and a willingness to meet her where she is. A woman's desire isn't a formula. It's a fingerprint, completely unique to her. And when a man takes the time to read it, to understand it, to embrace it without judgment, Orda, she remembers. Because most men don't do that. Most men don't even try. But when you do, you create a connection that feels tailor-made just for her. A connection that reaches beyond the physical and into the psychological. And when a woman feels like you truly get her, not just how to touch her body, but how to stimulate her mind and soul, you leave a lasting impression that no one else can duplicate. A great intimacy doesn't begin when the clothes come off. It starts long before that, often in the way you touch her without touching her at all. This is where the art of anticipation comes in, and it's one of the most overlooked yet powerful tools a man can wield if he wants to leave a lasting impression. The men women remember aren't necessarily the ones who go the hardest or last the longest. They're the ones who build tension so skillfully that the time they actually touch her, she's already halfway undone. Anticipation is the space between desire and satisfaction. It's that electric buildup that makes her body respond to your voice, your presence, your gaze. It's psychological, emotional, and physical all at once, and it starts the moment you walk into a room. When a man knows how to carry himself with confidence, control, and a little mystery, he creates a ripple in the atmosphere around him. She starts to feel it even if nothing has been said. That's anticipation. Most men rush. They're too quick to get to the physical act, not realizing that the real seduction happens in the lead up. It happens in the way you look at her across the room, the way your hand lingers just a second longer on her lower back, the way your voice lowers when you say something that only she was meant to hear. These are the micro moments that spark her imagination. And if you can make her imagine, you've already made her feel. And feelings are what make you unforgettable. When you text her, don't just send generic messages. Say something that reminds her of a moment you shared, or describe in vivid detail what you plan to do to her. But stop right before the climax of the sentence. Leave her hanging. Make her wait, not out of cruelty or manipulation, but because you understand that what the mind builds is often more powerful than what the hands can do. Let her sit with the thought of you. Let her wonder what it's going to feel like when you finally close the gap between what's been promised and what's delivered. Foreplay, in its deepest form, is mental. It's in the women. It's in the waiting, the teasing, the not quite yet. When you lean in like you're about to kiss her and stop just short. When you brush your lips over hers, but don't give her the satisfaction of the full kiss. When your hand hovers just above the part of her body that craves it most but doesn't land, that's when you take control of her desire. That's when she begins to crave you, not because of what you've done, but because of what you haven't done yet. It takes discipline to master anticipation. It's not about denial for the sake of playing games. It's about deepening the emotional and sensual connection so that every moment with you is charged. When you touch her, she should feel like the entire world has disappeared. But in order for that touch to mean something, it has to come after a slow burn, after you've made her wait, after you've built her up, after you've created space for her desire to breathe and grow. Even during intimacy, don't give her everything at once. Explore her body like it's a map you're learning for the first time. Kiss her in places most men ignore. Pause when she least expects it. Make her beg, not with words, but with the way her body moves beneath you, the way her breath quickens, the way her hands grip yours. That's when you know she's not just experiencing you physically, she's consumed by you emotionally. A woman will forget someone who was quick to take, but she'll never forget the man who made her feel like every second with him was an unraveling of something deeper. Anticipation is the space where memories are formed. It's where she begins to associate your presence with excitement, tension, heat. The kind of heat that doesn't fade the next day. The kind that lingers in her mind, playing on repeat, long after you're gone. There's something magnetic about a man who walks into a room and owns it, not by being loud, not by demanding attention, but by simply existing with certainty. That kind of man doesn't have to try too hard, and he definitely doesn't need validation. That's confidence. And when it comes to intimacy, confidence is one of the most powerful aphrodisiacs a man can bring. But here's where most men get it wrong. They confuse confidence with arrogance. And nothing will kill the mood faster than that. Confidence is rooted in self-assurance. It's a deep knowing of your worth, your capabilities, and your energy. Arrogance, on the other hand, is often a mask for insecurity. It seeks to prove something, to dominate, to control. A confident man doesn't need to prove anything. He doesn't need to talk about how good he is in bed or how many women he's had or how much he knows. He lets presence speak. He lets his energy speak. And when it's time, he lets his actions speak. That's the kind of energy that turns a woman's head and makes her curious. That's the energy that draws her in, not forcefully, but irresistibly. When you're confident, you don't rush, you don't perform. You don't ask for permission to take the lead, and you don't second guess yourself every step of the way. You read the moment, you read her, and you respond with intention. There's nothing more attractive to a woman than a man who knows how to move with purpose. Whether it's how you kiss her, how you hold her, how you guide her body. If you're doing it from a place of calm certainty, she feels it. She relaxes into it. She opens up, not just physically, but emotionally, because she senses that she's in the presence of a man who isn't unsure of himself. Arrogance, however, is loud. It needs to be seen. It demands attention. And in the bedroom, it's the man who brags, who's more concerned with his own pleasure than hers, who moves fast to impress rather than connect. That's the man she forgets. That's the man she talks about with disappointment. Because while arrogance tries to take control, confidence earns it without trying. Confidence is also about knowing that you don't have to be perfect. You don't need to have the right moves or the longest stamina or the most experience. What matters is how present you are, how connected you are, and how open you are to learning her. A confident man isn't threatened by feedback. He wants to understand what she likes, what turns her on, what she's never experienced before. He listens, and he adjusts, not because he's trying to be someone else, but because he's secure enough in himself to evolve. You can see confidence in the way a man touches a woman, firm but gentle, assertive but not aggressive. In the way he speaks, clear, direct, low-toned and not rushed. In the way he looks at her, steady eye contact that doesn't waver. That says, I see you, without needing to say a word. These are the small cues that tell a woman she trusts you with her body and her vulnerability. And when she trusts you, she gives more. She lets go of control because she knows you're grounded enough to handle it. Women are deeply intuitive. They can spot insecurity masked as arrogance from a mile away. And while some may entertain it for a while, it never lasts. What lasts is the man who moves with quiet authority. The man who can take the lead but still remain gentle. The man who doesn't chase validation but naturally commands respect. That's confidence. It's not just how you carry yourself. It's how you make her feel when she's with you. Safe. Desired. Seen not as a conquest but as a partner in pleasure. Confidence makes her feel chosen. Arrogance makes her feel used. The difference may seem subtle, but to a woman who's emotionally in tune, it's everything. It's one thing for her to remember the night. It's nothing entirely for her to feel it days, weeks, even years later. The men who become unforgettable don't just focus on what they do to a woman. They focus on how they make her feel. That feeling, the emotional and sensual imprint you leave behind, lasts far longer than any physical act because memory fades, but feeling lingers. A woman may forget the exact details of what you said or even the specific sequence of what happened, but she will never forget the sensation that swept through her body when you touched her in a way no one else ever had. She won't forget the safety she felt when you looked into her eyes and made her feel seen. She won't forget the way you made her lose track of time, of space, of everything but that moment with you. Because that kind of intimacy isn't just about chemistry, it's about emotional resonance. Leaving her with a feeling starts with understanding that intimacy is more than sex. It's the energy between you. It's the softness in your voice when you whisper her name. It's the weight of your hand resting gently on her thigh while she talks. It's the silence between kisses, the shared laughter in bed, the way your breathing syncs up as you both surrender to the moment. These are the details that create an atmosphere. And it's the atmosphere that she remembers. When you rush through intimacy, when you treat it like a goal to reach or a performance to deliver, you become forgettable. But when you slow down and allow every second to matter, when you let your hands and your words and your eyes all work together to express genuine desire, appreciation, and focus, she feels that. She feels desired in a way that isn't about conquest, but about reverence, not because she looks a certain way, not because of how her body moves, but because of who she is and how you see her. A woman becomes emotionally open when she feels emotionally safe. And the man who can create that safety without forcing anything, without expecting anything, becomes in her emotional memory. That safety isn't just about being kind. It's about being present. It's about not flinching when she becomes vulnerable. It's about knowing how to hold her, not just physically, but energetically. When her guard drops and her true self comes to the surface, if you can make her feel free to be her fullest, wildest, softest self in your presence, that will leave a mark deeper than anything physical ever could. Even your silence can speak. The way you pause before you touch her, the way you hold her after, instead of rolling away or reaching for your phone, the way you don't rush her experience or your own climax, but instead focus on connection. These seemingly small decisions create moments she carries with her, not because you're trying to impress, because you're choosing to connect. That's the difference between a memory and a feeling. A memory is passive. A feeling is embodied. She carries it. And sometimes the most unforgettable parts are what happens after, when you help her slip back into her clothes with care, when you touch her with the same attention you gave her before the act, when you look her in the eyes like she's not just someone you slept with, but someone who mattered in that moment. These things shape her narrative of who you are, and that narrative is what plays in her head every time she thinks of you. When a woman feels deeply desired, deeply understood, and deeply safe in your presence, she doesn't just remember you. She feels you again and again in her body, in her mind, in her breath. That is what separates the forgettable from the unforgettable. Not the act itself, but the emotional energy wrapped around it. Not the memory of what happened, but the lingering afterglow of how it made her feel long after the moment ended. What makes a woman remember you isn't just what you do. It's who you are when you're with her. It's how deeply you see her, how attentively you listen to her body, how intentionally you move, and how present you remain through every moment you share. If you want to be the kind of man who leaves a mark she'll never forget, it starts with understanding that unforgettable sex isn't about performance or perfection. It's about presence, emotional intelligence, connection, and the courage to go beyond surface level desire. When you show up as a man who doesn't just seek pleasure, but one who creates an experience, mentally, emotionally, and physically, you become rare. And women never forget rare. So stop chasing applause and start cultivating presence. Stop obsessing over techniques and start learning her. Build anticipation, not because it's a tactic, but because you value the slow burn. Carry your confidence like calm power, not a loud performance. And above all, leave her not just with a memory, but with a feeling that wraps itself around her every time she thinks of you.